Hey everybody, welcome to the new golden rule. Treat people how they want to be treated. When I was growing up, I learned the golden rule, which is treat people how you want to be treated, treat people how I want to be treated. That works. I mean, I was very kind and generous and treated people very nicely. And it didn't always hit with the other person, and I kind of wondered about that. So this new golden rule talks about getting perspective on the person that you are talking to or engaging with to find out what drives them, what they like, what they don't like, so that you can treat them how they want to be treated, so that when you are offering appreciation, it is received as appreciation because you're treating them how they want to be treated. So let's get into it. Core concepts of this is where anybody falls on the graph is relative to the people that you're surrounded by. So depending on the situation, you may be a fast decision maker or a patient decision maker. And it really is driven by the people that you are surrounded by in that given moment. This is a spectrum. So we are going to define personality types by the edges of the spectrum. And it's very helpful to remember that most people fall somewhere inside the margins of any given spectrum. And this is only a starting point in understanding and understanding people and like building connection. So this isn't a label that you get to put on a sticky note and wear around like a badge on your chest. And it's not a way to pigeonhole people that you work with or pigeonhole yourself. Just understand that this is giving you a little glimpse into tendencies. And from those tendencies, you can really develop a more meaningful connection. So with that, let's get into the graph. And so this is a quad chart. As you can see, there are four quadrants in this graph. And the horizontal spectrum ranges from very patient decision makers to very fast decision makers. The vertical spectrum ranges from feelers, like people who really make decisions based on their gut, to thinkers who I would say are more logic driven. So remember, these are the far ends of the spectrum, and most people fall somewhere in the middle. And we are going to talk about each quadrant. So the first quadrant, once again, these are defined by the boundaries or by the edges of the spectrum. So a driver, they want power and control over themselves. They want to win. These are people who turn anything into a competition. They will make paper airplanes and see who can fly them the furthest. These are people who have a lot of self-determination. The thing that they don't want is for you to cost them time. These are people that if it takes 5 words to cultivate or communicate an idea, use 4. They definitely don't want to have their time wasted with what they would consider excess details. Their eyes are cold. And the one thing that really gets their attention is if you just say the words bottom line. So if you approach a driver and you say, hey boss, I got this going on, bottom line, their ears are going to perk up and they're going to be fully engaged. That is a driver. Our next quadrant is an expressive. So these are still fast thinkers or fast decision makers, but they are very more heart-centered, very more like body-centered. These are people who want to be noticed and they want to be liked. And that is, you will see that play out in a lot of different ways. So somebody walks around with a lot of visible tattoos. It's very, very likely that they fall into an expressive quadrant area in some way, shape, or form. These are people who want, they're very gregarious. They don't want you to cost them effort. If they go out of their way to do something fantastical for you, because that is what they're going to do, to not show any kind of like true appreciation, to completely sidestep or to give them a project and then not ever use it is not great. If you give an expressive a project, a creative project, and you they never see it in use, that's a bad deal. Their eyes are mischievous. They, like I said, they're kind of gregarious. They want to be noticed. They want to be liked. And whether it's good or whether it's bad attention, they're always out to create a little bit of mischief. The power words for expressives are words of grandeur. This is amazing. You are the best. If you can find a way to couple something that they've done with these words of grandeur, you are absolutely filling up the cup of an expressive. Our next quadrant, you can't quite see, but it's ambiable. Ambiables, they are more patient in decision making, and they're more feeling, like they're more into their body with making decisions based off of like gut feelings. These people want approval and they want trust. And I myself, I fall into this quadrant. The one thing you never want to do, I guess, to an ambiable, it's cost them third-party trust. So I seek approval. I seek to be trusted, to be a trusted ally, to be an honest broker. The last thing that I ever want is for a friend of a friend to do something that costs me the trust of somebody who I'm not in like direct relationship with. So, for example, if I get somebody a job, and like I get my friend a job, and my friend they don't appreciate it, and they do an awful job, and then they get fired. That's kind of the worst thing that could happen, because now all of a sudden I've put my neck out. I've, expended some trust capital to take care of my friend, and I lost that. So it doesn't, that's an easy way to really kind of get in a bad way with an ambiable. Our eyes are warm. Like I said, we're constantly seeking approval, and we're constantly seeking to be a trusted asset. And the way to our hearts is by saying the words, "I'm proud of you." If you can ever find a way to couple something that they did with, or just revalidation, like like giving more approval, and saying, "Hey, you know what? I saw that, and that looked really difficult, and I'm super proud that you were able to accomplish that." Those are that goes right into our hearts, and it's phenomenal. The last quadrant we'll talk about is analytic. And these are patient decision makers, and they're thinkers. They're really they're very logical. So they really appreciate intellect and being correct. Those are two very important drivers of an analytic, as being sought after for their actual intellectual capabilities and being correct. So not necessarily being morally right, but actually saying true facts. The one thing that you never want to do is to cost them credibility. With an analytic, if they do a tremendous amount of work preparing a report, and you ask for feedback, and they are offering you honest, researched feedback, and you in some way, shape, or form discount it based on feeling, or based on based on almost anything, but you're around people, that's not great for an analytic. They really they really put a lot of effort into that research, into being correct. So to cost them any kind of credibility, especially in a group of people, is super bad. So where a driver may or may not care if you say that they're wrong in a meeting, an analytic will take that to heart. They will go back into the lab and figure out why they were wrong. So, or they will go back into the lab and figure out how they weren't wrong. So their eyes are skeptical. They're always searching for an angle. They're always searching for the truth, so the jury's out until they do the research. So they have skeptical eyes. And a great thing to ask them about is, tell me how you. So tell me about your process. Tell me how you did this. Like, tell me how this research came about. That is by far and away one of the best things you can ever ask an analytic, because they put so much energy into the process that when you show any kind of interest in the process, that's the best. So to wrap up, these are the 4 quadrants. And once again, these are not designed to be used as labels. Very rarely do you find anybody who is a pure driver, a pure Ambiable, a pure Expressive. Everybody kind of falls into the spectrum. So I personally, I have Ambiable tendencies and Analytic tendencies, but I've also been a fast decision maker at times. So I definitely understand the patient side of the graph, but there's been times where I've just hammered down on a really fast decision. So once again, this is a phenomenal way to start learning about other people and using that to create really, really deep conversations and connections. So once again, what questions do we have? You can hit me up any of my social media platforms, or 9.4.coaching@gmail.com. And I appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing from you. So thanks.